My name's Ben Simpson. I'm the managing director of MyWorkwear. We're a uniform retailer manufacturer in the Midlands in the UK. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and the business if you want. My background. Myself, I'm from a. I started life as a software developer. I did a computer science degree, and had a couple of little web development programming jobs, and then founded or co-founded a small little web development agency. Never for 1 minute be ending up in a sort of a manufacturing background or manufacturing career. But long story short, we got involved in what was a customer of ours, a company called so MyWorkwear is will be celebrating its 50th birthday next year. So we're 49 years old, right? This was about 11 years ago. I had the opportunity to invest in this company. So essentially, I bought it 11 years ago, and very quickly fell in love with this company. It's completely different to what I was used to. Essentially, back then in particular, it was a very dated. It felt like a 50-year-old company or a 40-year-old company back then. And we had the opportunity to come in, and I think quite naive at the time, we thought, all it needs is a little bit of technology. We were completely ignorant to all of the other challenges. But yeah, I came in, and 11 years later, we've grown it by, I mean, depending on which metric we look at, we've grown it by pure volume about 1,200% from when we bought it. So we've enjoyed quite significant growth. Faced a lot of challenges along the way. And that's kind of where we're at now, really. We sell online and offline. We do essentially we do what we say on the tin. We provide workwear. So we print and embroider company logos onto garments for companies to use as their workwear, to use as their uniform. So it's kind of that's who we are.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Awesome. So what was it about the company that made investing such an exciting idea?
Um, I think I think looking back, it felt like we knew the company well. I had a business partner when I first started up the software company. Um, we knew the company well. It was a company with a long trading history, a great reputation for quality, um, and we could see we believed we could see the significant opportunities that we, with our young, arrogant, technology-based kind of focus could bring. Um, and so it was, and also I think back then we had an element of naivety. I think we were newish to business. I was newish to business, and it just seemed like it would be good fun. And I think that's kind of all of those things were true. It was an exciting opportunity. There was a huge amount of opportunity there, but I definitely underestimated the size of the challenge that came with it. You cannot just inject a load of technology into a 40-year-old manufacturing company and expect them to gel. You can't, there's not, I forgot about that really important, crucial piece in the middle, which is the people. So you can't just turn up into a business where everyone's done things the same way for 40 years and kind of go, so here's the new system, we're going to do it this way. And that was probably one of the biggest learning curves for me. When I got here was just to realize the bigger sort of cultural piece, the importance of change management, the importance of how we do things, and just learning your picture rather than just thinking we could just come in and introduce a whole load of tech and it would transform everything overnight. I think in reality, tech has allowed us to transform this business multiple times over in the last 10 years. But the tech can only be part of it. You've got to do it with the people. You've got to, the technology doesn't do it by itself. It's got to be a team effort.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So how have you incorporated the tech to factor in the people that have to use it?
Yeah, good question. I think so. I mean, ultimately, particularly by now, I'd say we've digitized or added technology to basically every part of this business. Um, but if I kind of go back and think through along that journey, it we did it one step at a time, one system at a time, one process at a time, and we quickly learned. I very quickly learned that the only way to make that work was to get people on board with it. I mean, even if you literally lay down a system, lay down a standard operating procedure, and say this is how we do it. If people that on the shop floor, if they don't, if they're not bought in, if they can't see and understand how that's going to make life easier, um, I think, and I'm talking more back, I'm thinking more back to when I started now rather than now, potentially, but there are always ways, people will always find ways in which to either ignore you or find other ways of doing it, or just generally kind of not want to go ahead. Whereas once you realize, if you've got people on board from the beginning, if people have had a say in what we're going to do and how we're going to do it and what this technology is going to do, and really feel like some ownership behind it, suddenly it's completely transformed, and suddenly they're the ones pushing ahead, they're the ones working out how to get more out of it, they're the ones coming up with the suggestions. So I think that the short answer really is been um, it's been about having the right people, but actually, because we took on a team of people that were already here, getting those people on board with the journey, with the why, understanding the improvements, the benefits to the business, the necessity for the business. We're in a constantly changing market, constantly evolving. If you don't keep up, um, I think you're in danger. I'm sure we were, particularly in the manufacturing world, particularly maybe in the manufacturing world in the UK. I mean, I can think of a handful of companies where, yeah, yes, they've still got a fax machine, but those companies are few and far between, yeah, and they are quickly losing business to the companies that long got rid of their fax machine and have now got an ERP and a CRM and all of the fancy tech, which is making those companies more efficient and able to offer better levels of service, and generally, I think, and generally pleasing their customers more than the fax machine companies.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So what tech did you initially integrate or use?
We've so 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 when I started this company, I tell this story too many times, but bear in mind it was only 11 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, we we found every order was being put into horrible, clunky accounting system, and then printed off on. Do you remember the dot matrix printers? The ones that printed
Oh
inkjet.
yeah.
This is only 11 years ago. This is only 11 years ago. Yeah, exactly. Those on the rolls of paper with a different colored paper, and then and
Yeah.
then one copy would be put in a filing cabinet. And it was never brought back out of the filing cabinet, but we were pretty much paying someone to just put these copies of orders in filing cabinets. We had like 40 filing cabinets in this building. It's not the biggest building in the world, and there was 40 filing cabinets lined up. And so, one of the, I think something I did in the first year was I was able to sell 39 out of 40 filing cabinets. Um, and and we're so straight away, we were able to essentially we introduced technology across the board. So we looked at both customer facing. So we introduced a whole new tech stack on the customer facing side. So MyWorkwear was one of the very first companies in this country to actually sell customized workwear online. And when I arrived, the website was it was very old. It was still that first website. It was kind of it was donkeys old. It was written in classic ASP, and generally wasn't fit for purpose. So we introduced an entirely new front-facing website. We then added on like a customer portal for some of the bigger customers. We then as we started to grow, we realized all of the back-end systems weren't fit for purpose. The wheel, the bigger we got, the more orders that were coming in, the more the wheels would fall off on these systems that were put in place. We started by putting in some sort of homegrown we were building out little systems and some PHP here and God knows what over there, just building out these little systems, and none of them really talked to each other. It was all sticky taped together. That was our first approach, and then I think it was around about 2022. We'd from an orders point of view, we'd done quite well through COVID. Online shopping had increased. The website was doing well, and we really sort of started to see a real spike in growth. And we realized what we had just wasn't fit for purpose. So we invested really heavily back into the business. We brought in a professional, a big ERP system, a CRM system. So now everything's become barcode driven. And sort of anecdotally, and what we pick up from others in our industry is now for where we're at, we are leading the way in our industry, which I admit is in some ways, still dated compared to, we're not comparing ourselves to like the aerospace industry or something like that. But for what we do, there's so many companies out there that are still just doing this in a real basic way. Here's your quote on it's made as a spreadsheet, and they're moving logos around on a USB stick. With the technology we invested in, we are barcode driven from when we come in. So we don't put the wrong logos on the wrong clothes anymore, because everything, our embroidery machines are all hooked up. So we have everything's talking back to a sort of centralized bit of software. We know where every order is. We know who's done every order. We know what's meant to be on every order. We've got full automation from start to finish. So customer can place an order on our website, and thing in that we fully integrate from into ERP. Orders are placed automatically with suppliers. Dispatch labels are generated automatically. The whole process from start to finish, all the way through to invoicing. It's all fully automated for those self-service online orders, and it's and ultimately that's transformed our business. It's our operational efficiencies are, I mean, they're certainly high compared to when I started, but they're also high compared to our competitors. I talked to various competitors, and they seem to be an envy of where we're at with what we've achieved. And I think, part of that's investment, part of that, and this is the one bit that I'll actually take credit for, because everything else has been an absolute team effort. But I think just not being afraid of the technology and having an understanding of what we're asking for has allowed us to kind of piece, even with what we've got now, it's not all from one supplier, but being able to piece that together, work out how they're going to talk to each other, has got us to where we're at. And we have I always forget. I think the other thing that's really made a difference for us is we invested quite heavily into sort of BI tools, like business intelligence tools. We use QuickSight. I know most people use like Power BI. Giving us visibility. We've got data all over the place. We pull it into our own little data warehouse, and the reporting that we can make from that allows us to genuinely make data-driven decisions. I know that's a cliche. I know a lot of businesses talk about how they're data-driven, and then you look at it and you think, well, okay, you've got your reports coming out of Zero or something. But we join up data from across the business. We put it all back into one place, and we've got some really, all of our reports are entirely custom, so we can see in great detail everything, both from our commercial numbers all the way through to our production numbers. We know what's coming off the machines. We know where our orders are coming from. And I think that, particularly in the last couple of years, has really allowed us to make more informed decisions, which are helping to move the dial here.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, I can understand your excitement at like with your background in technology and the potential of this, arguably old school business. It sounds like you claim naivete and sort of underestimating it, but it sounds like you still knocked it out of the park. So how did you talk your team into incorporating all this technology? And it sounds like it's not just like, oh, we're gonna do this once. This sounds like a continuous process. Like how did you talk them into it? How did you keep talking them into it?
Yeah, so it has been a continuous process. I think we have made, if I look back at the last 10, 11 years, there have been a few step changes, but in reality, the majority of these transformations, and I do say we have transformed this business multiple times over, actually the majority of those transformations has been one little change at a time. And I use the whole 1% compounding example here quite a lot because I think that to answer your question, that ties into how we've got people on board and how we sort of talk to them about it, is it's making everyone understand that this isn't about just us imposing some big change and them not really having any, and it just happening, but making people understand that actually it is the compounding of a lot of small changes, and the way they compound on top of each other is what actually transforms the business. I think over the time we've also been able to. I mean, we've still got some members of staff here who were here when I got here, and in fact they've been here a lot longer than I have. We've got multiple people that have worked for us for over 30 years. Our production manager started this when he was 16. He's now 50 something, and he's part of our leadership team. So it's not like we came in and replaced everyone and brought in open-minded people, but actually, you know what, whether they were existing people, whether they're people we've brought on, we've 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 set a culture, I guess. We've set a culture that encourages continuous improvement. It encourages innovation to some extent. I think people would agree that, for whatever they might say about us, this place would not. This would not, I don't think people that work here would describe this as somewhere where you're just sitting still. You don't like change is part of the business. If you're someone that doesn't like change, you probably won't like it here because whilst we don't do it recklessly and whilst we do involve everybody, we are constantly striving to improve, and that then is disseminated down. We've built a really good leadership team. They build a close relationship with their teams. So whilst when I started, it was me trying to rally everyone and everyone on board. Now we've built smaller teams, and and they can work more closely with their teams to kind of get everyone on board. And of course, this thing works in both directions. It's all very well me sitting there or the leadership team kind of coming up with ideas, but actually we encourage and get lots of ideas and feedback from the teams themselves. And I think that is cultural. That is what you build. Like, do the teams actually care enough to want to suggest ways to do things better? And here they do. They absolutely do.
Wow. Yeah, I think, and I'm sure the team appreciates that as well. Like they have a struggle with a process or some technology, or they have an idea on how they can do it better, and then you incorporate that. That's gotta be incredibly satisfying and motivating for them. I want to talk about, like, to say tech has been exploding in the last couple of years would be the understatement of a lifetime. Um, ha, like how have you guys sort of wrapped your hands around all of this crazy new capabilities we have?
So, I mean, my head goes to AI being the obvious one from the last couple of years. Um, Bowed with this a little bit at the beginning because I think generally my philosophy has been you absolutely don't want to be left behind. You don't want to be the last one with a fax machine. But at the same time, I've always been a little bit nervous, particularly as with a programming background. I don't want to be accused of being like chasing the latest shiny thing. Um, so generally, I try to play it safe, and it's like, let's not go for that first mover thing each time, and let's wait until something's a little bit more established. But I think with AI, you know, what certainly in the last year, I just don't see it as being first gen technology anymore. I appreciate it's going to keep progressing, but I think the opportunities and stability are already there. So we've got two AI projects running at the moment. So we have an in-house developer. He's been fantastic, and needless to say, he's thrown himself at the latest shiny thing because he loves that sort of thing. So that hasn't been an issue asking him to upskill or to learn about this. And we've also got an outsourced AI project. So if I mean, briefly tell you what we're doing, because I think they're both really exciting projects, particularly the one what I class as the main one. We uh, and just to go back one sort of step, I suppose. I recognize I was at a business dinner with some other business leaders the other night, and I said, "Oh, who's using AI?" And everybody nodded, and then immediately talked about how they're using Copilot to help them write stuff. And I thought, yeah, no, that's fantastic. Like, I get that. We do that too. That's really cool. But it almost felt like that was as far as they'd even considered. Um, and we've sort of very much gone one step further. So we've explored what we can do with AI agents, and really, how we can use AI to process incoming work. So we are we have a fully working AI agent at the moment that monitors what's coming into what inbound inquiries are dropping into our inbox, our sales and our customer service inboxes. Um, and that's basically that's reading what's coming in, and it's determining by itself, it's giving itself its own score as to whether it understands what's being asked. And because probably about 40%, maybe 40 to 50% of the orders that go through us every day, then aren't automated. We've got people emailing us in going, "Hey, can I have some of this?" or "Can I have a quote for this?" It's either regular customers wanting more of the same, or it's new inquiries saying, "Hey, can I get a quote for this?" And so we've got a whole big team of people outside placing orders, but essentially part of that is data entry. Now, obviously, there's a whole big important skilled bit, which is knowing what to recommend, which is knowing how to talk to the customer. But then they have to go in and they have to basically do some data entry. So we're trying to, and I see AI as a tool. It's a tool alongside all the other tools. It's the same reason we don't use pen and paper anymore. It's the same reason we don't have a fax machine anymore. It is the next generation of tools to make our guys more efficient, to streamline them, to make them more productive. So we've got we've got an agent that's basically looking at what's coming in, and it's determining, well, this customer's asking for this particular order, and they've had that before, and I know what they're asking for. So before our guys have even seen it, it will basically generate that order. It will push it into it's fully integrated with our ERP. It will generate an order. It will push it into the ERP. It will create the order, create the quote, put it back into our CRM. So when one of our guys gets to it, it can say, the quote's already been made. So now they can look at it, they can check it, they want to tweak it, they can improve it. But it's done not the boring version. We bring them up. They can actually get on the phone and they can speak to the customer, and they can offer a better level of service, they can offer a better level of sales. And that, I mean, that's just, it's not really answering your question, I suppose, but for me, that's like my favorite example at the moment of how actually this revolution, if you like, of technological revolution is worth jumping on, because the technology is there to be able to do these things, with a little bit of implementation, recognizing that it's more than just manually typing stuff into ChatGPT. With a bit of work, you can get it to basically be doing work for you, talking to your systems, almost like sitting inside your system. And I personally think this is the opportunity that will separate us out from the vast majority of our competitors who just don't have that level of technical understanding. And I think this will potentially present a significant competitive advantage for us, in the near future. And obviously, everyone will catch up eventually. But I think this is like a new opportunity to really move the dial and push us ahead of everybody else for a while.
Mm. You seem like so like dialed in on this. Have you ever considered almost creating like a SaaS product for this industry or similar client businesses?
So yeah, I had a SaaS product, in my first business, and uh, it it's great in a way. It has a different set of challenges. It's a different type of business. Um, I think there are right now. I think, and I don't want to sound unambitious or kind of not, too risk averse. Right now, there are companies out there starting to build tech for my world, for my industry. Um, I look at where the biggest opportunities are, and I look at the size of the opportunity and what we do. Workwear, as boring as it might seem, is a multi-billion-pound industry. Even in the
Uh,
UK, there is so much opportunity, and right now, it's not dominated by like one or two big players. It is so diverse. There is so much market share to go around. We are already, we're not the biggest, but we are far from the smallest player in the market, and yet there's still so much market share for us to win. And I think personally, I think the bigger opportunity right now is for us to go win this market. Workwear is a good industry. It's a profitable industry if you do it right, and I think we're doing it right. I think we're doing it better than the vast majority of our competitors right now. So right now, my plan is to double down on what we're doing and to absolutely become the best workwear provider out there, rather than sort of diversifying into essentially what becomes same industry but a completely different product. That said,
Mhm.
I do recognize that we're building technology that our competitors would want. So never say never. Right now, it's not on my radar.
Got it. Yeah, that's awesome. I totally get that. Um, so can you tell me about like who your ideal customers are and how you find them?
Yeah. So we have we sort of internally split work between sort of online and offline. I think in terms of revenue, we've got about a sort of a 60-40 split online, offline versus online. For offline, I don't want to get. I think it's probably going to be a little boring for you, but essentially, our offline customers are more like to be the big factories that have got 1,000 people in them, right? And we're kitting out their workwear, whereas online tends to be your smaller business. It's your plumber down the road. It's your mum and pop business kind of thing that just want their 5-10 polo shirts for their couple of guys. We like both. So there are pros and cons to both. We don't want to put our eggs in one basket. We do well from both groups of customer. So I have two ideals. I've got my ideal online customer, which is that sort of slightly bigger than a one-man band customer. But they're not huge. I get it. Their average order value might be a few £100s, and they're coming on, they're doing self-service, they've put the order on themselves, they've uploaded their logo, they've placed their order, and although it's still B2B, it's like B to small b, we're very much in the e-commerce world there. And the margins are there, we can have the full automation. It's and we're trying to grow both sides. From an offline perspective, we we're in the heart of the UK. We're surrounded by manufacturing. We have focused and built up a community and network of manufacturing customers. My business partner in this business has been fantastic at going out and building up this community of network of manufacturing companies. We aim to be the partner for these manufacturing companies and the manufacturing industry in the UK. So actually, our ideal customer profile is essentially it's the company with the factory floor. We want to kit out the uniforms for the manufacturing and engineering workers of the UK. And you know what, we have positioned ourselves to be able to provide a really good competitive product and service for both of those types of customers. And I think that's been part of the success of our strategy. Is we do we say no to a lot of things. We don't, I don't know, we don't do schoolwear just because we can embroider. It doesn't mean we want to do it. But actually, we've settled on two ideal customer types, customer profiles, and I think that's worked well for us.
Hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Well, Ben, this has been awesome, man. You are so humble, but you've just accomplished so much. It's really inspiring. I love how just focused you are on this market, and you're not getting the shiny object syndrome, even though you could probably do some awesome things over there. Maybe that's in the future. I have one final question for you. It is an open-ended question. You can take it in any direction you like, personally, professionally, long, short, midterm. You go where you want to go. It's the name of the program. It's the name of the show. And the question is, what are you working towards?
I'm gonna very much stick with a business answer. Um, and it's a really, do you know what? It's a really boring answer. we're working towards growth. Okay, you know, we are actively continuing to grow the business. Um, but the key is in the how, isn't it? We're working towards growth by working on all of the little things which add up to make us the best company. So we're working on growing all the operational efficiencies, but we're also, which we haven't really discussed, we're working on all the commercial activities as well. We're working on not just we're working on the full funnel. So we're going to look after that customer in the best way. We're going to produce the highest quality goods. We were able to offer the best price. How we get more customers, how do we fill the top of the funnel, what are the latest routes to market, what are the different channels available to us. We've talked about AI revolution, but actually look at digital marketing as a revolution, look at sales as a revolution. All of these everything is changing at a great rate. And so in the same way we've got projects for how we become better inside and have ERPs, we've got probably even more projects going on about how are we at the forefront of this? How do we make sure that we're seen? Marketing, both from a marketing and a sales point of view, we do so much now to put ourselves to avoid traditional sales, to avoid sounding salesy, and to just make sure that we're known, make sure that our brand reputation is absolutely stellar. To even to something like this, if I can get the word out about us and the excellent work we're doing through routes like this, that's got to be better than, I don't know, standing on a, I don't know what traditional sales is, than literally knocking on a door, right? We want people to think of us when they think of workwear. When someone's looking for new workwear, them, we want our name in their head because they've seen us 10 times already, and not because we've been going for a hard sell. So that is what we're working on right now.
Mm. Love it. Love it. And where can my audience find out more about you and my workwear?
So we're very much, you can very much find our website at myworkwear.co.uk. Besides that, we're most prevalent on LinkedIn. So you can look up my workwear or myself. I'm Ben Simpson. Ben Simpson, my workwear. And I'd be more than happy to take connections or direct messages on there.
Yeah, awesome. We will link all those in the show notes. Ben, thank you so much for taking the time. This was a real pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, this was great. And thank you to all our listeners for tuning in, and keep on growing out there, everybody. See ya.